This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time! Presenting the champion of the world, Bill Wham Bam Amino!
Yo, 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 it's your boy Wham Bam, and it's another Wham Bam Wednesday, and it's December, baby. It's the holiday season, and it's so exciting. Everybody's excited this time of year. I love it. And you know what? We got another great episode, the show about ordinary people that have done extraordinary things. And today's no different, and you're going to love it. But before we do that, as always, the show is free, and we ask that you just give us a little bit of love and subscribe to our channel. Just make sure you subscribe, hit the alert button so you get all the alerts so you see all of our material. We only launch one episode a week. Every Wham Bam Wednesday is when we launch it, and you don't want to miss it. So, in fact, you know what? Because I'm in holiday spirit, I think I'm going to do something a little bit extra today. You know, today, for the first 10 viewers that actually share this podcast, can prove to us and send me an email at whambam@whambamspodcast.com. I'm going to go ahead and send you a free sweatshirt, one of our Stay Positive free sweatshirts. Just give us your size. Prove us that you shared the podcast with all your friends and you like all of our social media stuff, and you're going to get a free sweatshirt. So for the first 10 to do that, that's yours. So today's episode, you know what? We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about bail bondsmen. What is it like? What happens when you get arrested? You know, you get arrested, bad things happen. You don't know what to do. You're going to go to jail. How do I get out? Depending on how much money you have or don't have, what do? So today you're going to find out. We have two special guests today that have done tremendous stuff in the bail bonds industry. And we're talking about Scott and Cindy Echols are here with us today. Scotty, thank you so much for being here, Scott and Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you know what? You know, obviously it's that year again. It's towards the end of the year. It's holiday time. There's Christmas parties, there's holiday parties, you got New Year's coming up. People are drinking and driving. People are doing things they probably shouldn't do. Yeah. And you know what, they get arrested and stuff. That's where you guys come in. You created a business. Now, Scotty, you've been in this industry for what, 30 plus years?
30 plus years.
30 plus years. So you've been in the bail bonds industry. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and what actually got you into the bail bonds business.
Kind of interesting. I grew up in Forsyth County. Had an opportunity to try to develop a skip tracing business. So we did, and this was 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. So a lot of attorneys started reaching out, and we could actually find people that no one else could find. It was so interesting to a bail bondsman, my first bail bondsman I had ever met. He owned the largest company in Fulton County, Georgia.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
So he hired me to help him locate some of the people he was looking for that didn't show up for court.
Gotcha.
So the failure to appears, I started having some luck finding the people, and then he reached out to me, wanting me to go with him from my background to help him apprehend some of the people to bring them back.
Now, you know what I always found interesting when you said you found people, like, how do you find somebody? You know, somebody's missing. Where do you go to? I mean, I know today's technology has totally changed. You know, so it's got to be a lot easier than it's been in the past. But, I mean, what's step one? What do you do?
Well, back in our days, you know, it was calling the contacts on the contract. That was step one. Mm-hmm. Step two, we didn't have to have consent to run social security numbers. So we had TransUnion, Equifax, all the large databases that we could get information from. And then we also had some other utility companies that we could actually access information to help us locate people. But usually it was someone that was feeling responsible from the contract.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about the bail bond business, how that works, because a lot of viewers may not have ever been arrested, might not even know. You know, somebody gets arrested, they get locked up. The judge will issue them, a bail at times, right?
Correct.
If they have a bail, let's just say a bail's $10,000, they have to bail themselves out. Well, the customer doesn't have $10,000 to bail himself out. That's when they use a bail bonds company. Agreed?
Agreed.
And explain to the people the process of how that operates and how that works and how you guys make your money.
Well, let's use that number. that you just said, $10,000. So state law in Georgia, we can charge up to 15%. So that would be $1,500. So we're almost like a loan company where we're putting up the $10,000. The sheriff has the $10,000 of our money that he can take if, for any reason, that there was no final disposition on that case, a failure to appear happened, a ruling NISA happened, and a judgment took place against us. So he has that money already. But like you said, at 2 a.m. in the morning, most people's not walking around with $10,000 cash in their pocket.
Right.
So basically, there's only 3 ways to get out of jail, 4 ways, truthfully. There's the OR bonds, or on recognizance, which is kind of getting more rare these days. You have the property bond. You have a cash bond. So the property, the cash, the OR is really the 3 main.
Now, what's the OR stand for?
On recognizance. So you could sign your own bond, basically. And that used to happen
A lot
frequently.
more,
Yeah.
especially in Atlanta.
Yeah. Now, Cindy, how long have you been in the bail bond? How did you get involved? Was it when you got married with Scotty, or was it
Well,
prior
actually prior to being married, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably 2 weeks after meeting him.
Oh, yeah? That's funny.
Yes. Luckily, I had worked in the criminal justice
So you met
field.
Scotty, and he's like, get to work, baby.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It was pretty quick, but I'm a quick learn, so it worked out really well. And like I say, through the years, we continue to move on. with
Yeah.
it.
Now, do you like the industry?
I do.
What is it you like about it?
For me, I think that you meet a lot of really good people, to be honest with you. You really do. And like I tell him all the time, my favorite slogan to tell people is I meet a lot of really good people that find themselves in undesirable circumstances. And that's just the truth. It's the matter of it. When we first started working together and I started writing my own bonds, you really get to connect to these people. And sometimes, I also have a therapeutic degree. And so a lot of times you might be the first conversation to have with these people to see if there's anything that we can do from our side.
Right. You know what? I think what you said, you hit on the nose with the whole therapy part and people. Because a lot of times when they get arrested for the first time,
Yep.
that's when they get the wake-up call, right?
They do.
And they get okay, I need to do better. I got to get my life together. I got to do something different. And some people do have they get a bunch of bad luck. Like it just happens, right? There are some people out there that, are, in some bad situations. But then there's some people that are just bad people.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any of those
Oh,
that
yeah.
you just knew?
Plenty, but I'll be honest, even some of the ones that you would think that the crime would be extremely heinous. Some of them are just some of the best people, in conversation, and, everybody has a battle. So I don't understand, where they're coming from or what could have possibly have happened, in circumstances. A lot of times it's, dealing with, just outside precipitating factors.
Right. So, Scotty, you talked about 3 different ways, a person could bail themselves out. One of them was property. Explain to them about property. So obviously they're putting up collateral, putting up their home, putting up a house, putting up their vehicles to help them get out. Is that how that typically?
Well, normally in this county, all counties are a little bit different, but normally it is a property, a home, or land, and normally it has to be in the land in the county that the person is bonding out of. So, if they are looking for a $10,000 bond, they would need to have most of the time 3 times that amount of equity in their home.
Gotcha.
To do the property bond.
So listen. So if I'm in Forsyth County and I have, I got a bond here that I have to place, but my property is in Florida. I can't use my property in Florida as bond for property bond.
No, and the reason why is it would take so much time from the county to go place a lien on that property. And then again, Florida laws are different than Georgia laws. It may be difficult.
Right.
To ever, yeah.
Right.
get the money.
That it's one of the interesting things that, I learned. Obviously, I had a bail bond business back in the day as well. Fast way out, was there. In fact, Cindy, you
Yep.
purchased it.
Which is
back
now
in the day.
24/7.
It's
Yep.
now 24/7. That's it. That's right. One call does it all. 24/7, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, you guys got 12. You got a dozen different locations, right? Currently and stuff. But the one thing I can tell you about the bail bonds business is it was the first business I ever owned that made money from Jump Street. Like the very first phone call that came in, I was making money. I was like, wait a second, this is a little too easy. We're making 15%, on the bail. You don't think about the recourse until it actually happens, because a lot of these people don't go to court until 2 months or 3 months down the road, or they may get an attorney, or they may put it off, and you're sitting there, you're putting up the full amount, so you're in risk if they don't show up to court to lose that, but you don't really know it until you actually get burnt.
Yeah.
Have you ever got burnt before? Obviously,
I have.
A few times.
a few
One
times.
of the largest times I got burnt was a $35,000 bond that I had written in Hall County, Georgia. And the person left the country, and I had not a great cosigner. This was something that was approved by an employee, not myself. So anyway, ended up having to write the check for $35,000 to the court.
Lost.
Yeah,
Gone.
lost, gone. And it takes a lot of bonds to write to ever recoup.
Right.
That much
and
money.
I think that's the one thing anybody new that's opening up bail bonds, you don't think about that at first, because like I said, you got money coming in at first, and you're like, first month, first due, you're like, oh, this is great. You got this money coming in, but all it takes is one bad write up, and you don't have the right information. I remember we had a guy that skipped to Nigeria. And stuff, and it was a pretty large bond. I think it was like 150. It was 150,000.
Yeah.
It was pretty large, and that could put a dent in your pocket real quick. And you get a couple of those out there that actually do it. What's the largest bond you ever did that you bailed anybody out of?
Well, in locally for South County, largest bond I did $335,000. Of course, the largest bond outside of that was out of Fayette County, Georgia, and it ended up being, I think, $1.5 million. But only $500,000 for surety.
Oh yeah, wow! I know the bail bonds business. The largest bond that's ever been out has actually been $3 billion. It was a $3 billion bail. The guy's name was Durst. Was his last name? I think it was David Durst, maybe Ronald Durst. But he was a real estate investor up in New York, and his family was tied, and he had a bond on him for $3 billion for murder of his wife and some other people, lo and behold, and I guess he did it. I guess he did it, but they had to put up $1 billion.
Oh my gosh!
To get on. I just and it blows my mind, because the difference in certain amounts depends on the counties, and it depends on the person. They do. One of the things I learned real quick was the sheriff in every county really kind of guides and dictates what the rules are. Is that still that way today?
It is, as far as the bondsmen go. Of course, the judges set the bonds. So we've been fortunate in this county to have judges that want to make sure that the victims are protected and the defendants show up for court.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate here in Cherokee County.
We really are.
So,
Some
yeah.
incredible sheriffs too that are also easy to work with and that make things happen for everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that's important to do. Now, Cindy, I know you did a little spin-off with one of your businesses as well. You have a company, what's called Footloose?
Yes, 007 Footloose Ankle.
And tell a little bit about that and how that works, because it works well with being in the bail business.
It does. We do alcohol monitoring, and then we also do GPS monitoring. So we do scram units that'll, test, if you have alcohol in your system. A lot of these are all regulated through the courts itself, where they've been court ordered.
So explain that to me. So a person gets, they got a court order, they're not able to drink, and that's it. Like, it's
Pretty much,
no
straight
ands, ifs,
up.
or buts. You can't have a
No.
drink, and you have a device that actually regulates
Yes.
that?
Well, the device that we actually use are scram units. They've been around a long time. The court system knows them very well. What it does, it attaches to your ankle, but it also reads the sweat in your body, and so it can detect pretty much onset. It's very technical.
accurate?
It's absolutely accurate.
Wow.
So it's
have you
very
tried one?
interesting.
You put one on and have a
No,
drink
but
just
I
to
have-
see if it...
No, I have not, but I can tell you I've had a lot of clients that, have been caught. And it's interesting because, it tells you from the first second you take a drink, and it tells you to the end.
Wow.
And then alerts start coming our way to let us know.
That's so bizarre. I
Yeah.
can't imagine, just boom, so right to the
Yeah.
lips, and damn.
It
It's
is.
what if you go to church? You go to church, you take the bread of the guy, you take a little sip of
Yep.
the wine.
Absolutely.
That's it. Even religion purposes, you can't do it.
Nope.
Wow, that thing would just blow off just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it
What a
does.
what a great opportunity for you though. What a great business.
It
You
is.
know, yeah, I think for that. So you said you did alcohol. What was the other one that?
GPS monitoring.
GP
So yeah, that's where we actually put GPS units on people. A lot of times that's just to,
Home arrest
for
type thing?
TPO kind of charges, to just trying to make sure that they're not allowed to be going in certain areas, especially if the crime has anything to do with children, from schools to different aspects and areas that they're not allowed to be in.
Now you get a lot of that. Like,
Every case is different.
let's talk about that for a second. You know, schools, crime with kids. That's got to be a little bit of a touchy subject.
Yeah,
You
it
know, when
is.
you got family members, you got a father or a mother at that matter being accused of doing something to children. What is that like, and how does that play into what you do? You know, does it tend to pull at your heartstrings a little
Oh
bit?
God,
Like,
absolutely. That's what I said. Even when I first started writing bonds, and I'd have interactions with people. I mean, whether it's their loved one, their spouse, or their kids coming out of jail, it's a huge impact. It's like a whole family event. It's a trickle effect from everyone of how something like that happens. And especially, if they're having to wear, like I said, a GPS monitor, or if they're having to wear a scram unit. I mean, you're having to explain that. People, it's very noticeable, and so
Yeah.
people can see it. And not just that, it's sad because it's also a constant reminder of the action and the behavior. And, and a lot of people do get it and they understand it, but at that point, it sinks in.
I still think it's better, right? They get a little freedom, better than
I
being
agree.
locked up and
No, I agree.
behind the cage, as they say.
Well, again, I mean, at the end of the day, there's two sides to every story, but you have to think there's a lot of people in this world that are victims of people that, are drinking and driving.
Right. No, it's so true, and not just that, but just they always say you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
But the reality is, the one thing I learned even in the state of Georgia when I first moved was that you're guilty till proven not guilty.
Yeah.
Is always the way it felt, because somebody could say something or do something that could affect you or somebody's life, and they have to prove their innocence. Type of thing when they go
Yeah.
to court and stuff. Obviously, I went through a lot of battles when I was battling for custody of my daughter and
Yeah.
different things, but it seemed like that was that was during the O.J. Simpson time, where there was a lot of heat on males, and anytime somebody threatened anything, they had to take it serious.
Yeah.
And they started clamping things down a little bit tighter. Somebody said, hey, so and so put a gun to my head. Well, they automatically had to lock you up and check into it,
Yeah.
which, unfortunately, a lot of innocent people, went through that. And I think that's a hard thing. Scotty, how many times have you had people come in and say, I'm innocent? I mean,
How many times have we had anyone come in and say they're guilty?
right,
Never.
right. That's what I'm saying, right? So, everybody's always innocent,
I can tell you when I first started looking up dispositions and stuff within the 2 weeks I met him. It used to be very hard for me as a mother because, I would see, some of the charges that would be like incest and rape of kids.
Right.
And it would be terrible. But then, of course, I try to, decompose myself away from what it was. And then when later I go back to look up the dispositions to see if the case closed, it could be really sad to see that, people were
answers.
found, to see if they were guilty.
Yeah. What is that like? What does that do to you? I mean, Scotty, 30 years in an industry business, you've had to have worked with some criminals. Let's be honest. Like, they you didn't realize they were criminal. You're just doing your job. It's a business, and obviously become a big entrepreneur. This is just one of it. But as a business, it's very lucrative if it's done properly and done right. It has a huge risk factor to it. But, at the end of the day, have you gotten off, some people that might have been innocent and versus some people that were really guilty, that you're dealing business with? Like I said, you got both ends. I know they're good. They're always good people when they want something.
Sure.
Right? I mean, that's the reality. When somebody, they're caught with their hand in a cookie jar and they get in a little bit of trouble, they all have a story. It's the first thing you hear. They come to the bail bonds and they tell you their story. Help me get out, and I got this, and this, and I got raw. I shouldn't have got arrested. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Blah blah blah. You have to take your gut feeling when you're in front of them. Like, what do you do in those scenarios?
Well, going back to what Cindy said too, but me having kids, her having kids, and pedophile jumps up at you. It's like, you cringe at that charge. Right. But then at first, when I first opened my first business, I was like, I don't really want to bond someone that's been charged for this. But then you realize finally that, okay, some people are charged for something that they might not have done. It could be, we see this several times where it's divorce happening.
Domestic.
So
Right.
that comes up
A lot. It really does. And that's why I say it's like, luckily from our end, we don't have any skin in the game on what goes on in the court system. I mean, we're only bonding people out of jail.
Right.
But yes, it can be difficult, but we also see it.
But you also want it to close too, because if it's dragged
absolutely.
they drag it out in court, your money's tied up too, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you're putting a bond in.
So we have a judicial system that they have to go through the process.
Right, right. Well, and it's hard too because, like you mentioned, a lot of times it's domestic with parent stuff. But you know what? There are some kids out there too that are some troubled kids, and they make troubles for their parents. I mean, I've seen cases too where kids mentally they had some challenges, they had some issues, and unfortunately, psychologically, they made stories up that hurt their mom or dad. And put them in a situation that was very unfortunate. And they're like trying to convince the judicial system that, hey, my kid, my son or my daughter might not be telling you the truth, type of thing. But unfortunately, the court system always listens to the kid first. But the truth of the matter is, if a kid don't like mommy or don't like daddy, they can make it really hard these days. It's not like we were raised growing up, our kids could, they call up there and say, I got child abuse, we're going to jail, right?
Exactly.
Back in the day, my father, if I ever said that to my dad, he'd take me out back and give me a whooping, so there's your jail.
It didn't take me but just a couple times to figure out I didn't want to make that same mistake.
Right.
From that whooping,
Right.
Too many hickories.
So what is the biggest criminal that you felt like you bailed out and you didn't realize it till afterwards? Once they got went through the jury, went through the process, and was like, holy shit, he was guilty, and I bailed this guy out.
I think this is probably a joint answer here, but what really has been surprising is we have actually bonded out people that we've bonded out probably a half a dozen attorneys throughout our career. Mm-hmm. So nothing.
Doctors, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you.
Yeah.
Like the crime, they don't discriminate in our industry. But then again, probably some of the people, one of the people that comes to mind is probably from the sheriff's office. That was most surprising in some ways, that you just never would think,
Right.
I guess they just aside to some people that nobody knows.
Right.
Well, as I say, I mean, it doesn't discriminate. I mean, or it can be difficult. Let's just say that. I would never guess that. Yeah. That through the years, you can imagine we get a lot of phone calls, personal phone calls, and things like that. And we're always so glad to help because it's just a difficult time, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, it's a loved one on the other phone, not necessarily them. So it makes it difficult. It really does. It puts you in a bad way because you feel for them because Mm-hmm. I mean, you have kids, you have family, and same thing.
Right. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody came in and said, listen, I'm guilty, I did it, but I need you to post bond. My bond's $100,000. Here's the $100K because I'm not going to court. I'm going to skip. And the reason why I'm asking you this is because this actually happened to me. Like, we had a client at one time that it happened. Did it ever happen to you? And
Absolutely. We've had bonds, maybe not 100,000.
Maybe not quite, but they'll pay like a full security because they know they're not coming back.
Right.
Which I did make a mistake one time. I did a bond, and it was out of Forsyth County, and bound the person in Oregon. Now this bond was only like $1,300. It was a low bond.
Right.
But anyway, I had the full security, took the bond, and for principal, our job is to get the defendant, back to court. Mm-hmm. We're to produce the defendant to court. So anyway, I found the guy, done a letter of a proof of a comp evidence case on him, found him, agreed to extradite, paid the extradition cost. Well, guess what? That $1,350 bond cost me like $2,600 that I had to write a check for
Right,
to get
right.
them back.
To get
But
them
anyway,
back.
things happen, like you say, that sometimes people know they're not coming back.
Right. Let's talk about that as far as, the bounty hunting, type of thing. I mean, I know back in the day, and Dog, the bounty hunter, was actually a big thing back then.
Oh, yeah.
Had his own show and all that. And actually, obviously, you actually were the head of the bail bonds commission there for quite a while too, right? I mean, I remember when we first got into it, you were the big dog over there.
I was a big dog, but I had great people under me that made my job easy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I remember, Dog, that's when the show was big. But, bail bonding, like going after people that skipped, is real.
It's real.
Like, it's not all, like, and other people watch the show and they thought, oh, well, this stuff's made up, or it's just, it's for the show, it's for TV. But the reality is, no, that stuff really goes on. I mean, I know myself, I remember going, trying to chase a few people down. And obviously, the first thing you do is go to their house. And somebody opens up the door with a shotgun to your head and a couple pit bulls, you start thinking twice about a couple $1,000s. Is that really that serious, type of thing, right?
True. True.
So you ever have any of those situations like that?
We have. Actually, even Cindy and myself went and apprehended a lady up in, was it North Carolina?
Yeah, it was just on the other side of the line. Yeah, we did.
She was a known drug dealer.
Yeah.
So,
And not just even that. It's like when you get to the place, then your concern at that moment is not just the person you're coming to apprehend, but the family, everybody there, not actually knowing, they're walking through the house, what they're going to come out with.
Right.
They think you're there for them. Mm-hmm. You're not.
Right.
We had that happen.
And the
It can be a
thing
little
is,
concerning.
It's changed. Like you said, now, after looking back, even with her and I going and successfully apprehending that individual, it's like, I wouldn't want to do that again. Like I don't know how many arrests I've made physically in 30 years time. But my first 5 or 10 years was doing nothing but trying to chase people down, find them, But in that case, it's like, if you're not doing this weekly, you're not as good. It's just like playing golf.
Right.
You got to do it every day, or every week.
You got to know what's going on.
But I got rusty, and I found out that, okay, I don't care to do that. I used to love to do it. I used to love do it once every couple months, minimum, but not any longer.
It's funny because I think when I was younger, I probably would have got more kicks out of it too.
Yeah.
But having a family, having kids, getting a little bit older, you start thinking about different, consequences that you could face.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're in a different scenario because yes, they owe you money and you feel betrayed. Like, hey, I'm violated. Like, it's my money. I work hard too. But when you go there to pick it up, you don't know who's coming around the corner, action stuff. And it can be pretty scary because listen, we never went in the middle of the day, right? You're going at night when they're sleeping or they're at home because you want to catch them. You know what I mean? So you try to use all the tactics that you learned and stuff. And Dog gave us some great techniques in doing things, which, always helped out. And we were very fortunate because we did find a lot of them. But yeah, there was the one, once the guy came to the shotgun, I decided myself, it might be time to hire somebody to go do this stuff. It's not really where I want. And you know what? And people blame you. People look at you because their wives or their children, they're like, leave my daddy alone, or you get out of here. You're trying to take my husband away from me. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to do what he didn't do, is get him to court and show up so that everybody can be happy, type of thing. But it does get into some really bad situations.
It can. Yeah. Like in that case, it was mother we were coming to pick up.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you, there were 2 or 3 men there, and, they don't want mama to leave.
Right. That's it. Man, you know what? Some of the worst ones, I don't know about you, but women actually will fight.
They will.
They will fight, especially if you show up as a man. They will fight you tooth and nail because they don't think you're going to fight back.
Yeah.
Because they're a woman. And there's some truth to that, because you really got to be careful about how you handle certain scenarios and different things. What you become, what becomes a risk to you is maybe different in their eyes versus yours, and that gets weird.
It does. But something feel at the same time, every time that we've apprehended someone, I know it sometimes it does get you because you're like, okay, I've got all this money on the line. You have not fulfilled your obligation. But then when we go get them, we're always kind to them. We try to talk to them,
Right.
and give them some encouragement before they go back.
Yeah,
So
we do.
Dog was excellent at that. If you ever watch
He
the show,
did.
Oh yeah.
Beth, they all encourage
Yeah.
people.
God bless her, Beth.
To make a
Yeah.
change, to
no.
try to
Make
make
a
a change
change.
in their
Yeah.
life and try to make better choices, especially for the ones that really know they did it, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of Beth, obviously she's gone, but I know she's here in spirit. I know, Cindy, you worked really close with her and stuff.
Yeah.
Share some of the biggest moments with her and how she played an impact in your life.
Oh gosh. When I describe Beth, I mean, she truly was a strong, intelligent female. She was so much fun. Her energy, you couldn't help but in the room. I mean, when she would walk in, everybody would smile, not just because she was Beth. It's just her personality.
She smiled. She always had a
did.
smile. She never had a bad day.
She never met a stranger. She did not care who you were, how you were dressed, what you had on. She just a very genuine, down to earth individual.
Mm-hmm.
She was, and yes, I do miss her. And it was sad, during her sickness and things like that, when the last days were coming, and here she really thought that she had beat cancer. She did, and we actually were in Colorado for one of the conferences. We got to spend time with Beth and Dog, and at that time she was about to go back. Just I think it was a few weeks later for her checkup again, to her 6 months checkup to double check to see if everything was okay. When she found out she had it again. But talk about living life to the fullest in every aspect. Loved her dearly. We have so many fun, good memories that I wouldn't trade for anything.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, she definitely was a gem. Dog was too. Dog was super cool. A lot of people see him on TV. He's hard-nosed, but and you see the after story. He's always trying to help and teach a lesson and do those types of things. And you're right. That happens too in real life. Like, I mean, and a lot of that has to do with, like I said, a lot of these kids or younger people or even adults. But, they got caught doing something for the first time. They didn't realize the consequences. And when they realize it, it's like, okay, I got to make a change, and you're the first person they see. So, of course, they're coming to you, talking to you, trying to do those things. What was your biggest asset in the industry? Like, what was the one thing that, that you loved about the bail bonds world? Doing it 30 years, I know you got a lot of things.
There is, so many times someone has called, reached out to us, and truthfully, we're the only friend they have at that moment. And we're always kind. There's a certain amount of bondsmen that can be rude on the phone, but that's not our style. We all our agents. We have phenomenal agents, the best in my opinion. We work with a lot of great attorneys, and the reason the attorneys work with us is probably because they know that we make sure that their clients are taken care of.
Yeah, our customer service is probably one of the biggest things that I actually commend us on and all of our companies. Anyone that actually knows our agents that are on the phone, they will know at that moment that they're there really to help them. It's not about being judgmental. It's not about, sitting here and pointing fingers. It has nothing to do with that at all or anything to do with us. We're about trying to help people and make this process faster and easier.
Yeah, it's tough too because, like you said, you're not getting the calls in the middle of the day. You're getting the calls at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Mostly. So, what is the most of your bails? Like, if you had to say there was, your top 3, arrests that people get and they call you on, what would you say they were?
I would say DUI.
DUI 1,
domestic violence.
Yep.
And probably
obstruction, assault.
Yeah.
We get a lot of assault charges, but usually they all intertwine.
They all. That's right.
True. Yeah.
Now, on assault, is it more men or women?
I think it ends up being pretty much equal these days.
I think so too. It's difficult to say. Years ago,
Told you women will fight.
I know, but years ago, when I got into the industry with him, I always felt like it was more men. It felt like, but now looking through, the cases and stuff, I think it's pretty even.
Yeah, that's crazy. What about kids? Do you see a lot of kids come through? I know obviously laws are changing and different things for minors, but still there's some that are getting arrested as, tried as not a minor.
They are. And in fact, I do quite a few juvenile bonds. I have done several in a couple of my companies, even recent. So yes, they are.
Now, you said 15% is typically what a bonds is. Can you change that at all? Because I know back in the day, a lot of times you had competition in companies and they would try to, we'll do it at 12%, and try to cut you out of a couple percent.
It's interesting in Georgia because overall statewide, 15%, like you say, like we told you earlier, through legislation, is what we're.
So that changed.
That
changed for a
It changed. It did change because it was 15% or 12% if it was a felony.
Right. Okay.
15 on misdemeanors.
Gotcha.
But now it's changed 15% across the board. But in certain counties, the sheriff puts in the rules that you have to charge the mandatory 15%. And that keeps everyone on an equal playing field. Other counties through Georgia, you can negotiate. You can come down. You could charge really nothing if you wanted to,
Yeah. Wouldn't make a very good business plan.
No, it wouldn't be a good businessman. You're right.
Well, it's funny because there's so many bail bonds out there. I mean, there's over 10,000 bail bonds, in the United States. But like I said, it's a $2.4 billion industry. So it's a great industry to be in if you know what you're doing and you have the right people. Is there a limit that each county has only so many bail bonds that they allow? Is there any rules or regulations for that? Or can a county have 100 bail bonds companies?
Once again, in certain sheriffs, anybody that can qualify can enter that county. The other counties, such as Forsyth, Cherokee, some others, they want to keep it to a certain amount where it provides a living for everyone in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think it may be based, off of the crime rates and things like that as well, to be honest. I don't know.
What do you have to do today to qualify to actually own one today? Is it any different? I mean, what do you have to do?
It's the same process probably that you went through. Not much has changed from that time. No. You have to qualify, we have to put a deposit.
They want that money. You got to put that money up for sure.
Got to put the money up.
Yeah.
So whatever the sheriff requires.
Take a test. You got to do
Just background checks.
Background checks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's difficult. It's difficult in Georgia. Now, certain states, it's difficult in a lot of states now, but like Florida, for instance. Florida is an insurance-only state. So you have to write through an insurance company. And now, from what I'm hearing, you have to apprentice for 2 years under a company before you can even open your own company.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
they want you to know what you're doing.
That's correct.
All right.
And here, in same way, there's different rules applies to if they did let someone in. Sometimes the rules are different for someone new coming in.
Right.
Especially with the escrow amount that you have to put up.
Yep.
How much
Yep.
you're allowed to write. So different things.
You know what? I kind of like the fact that they do the apprentice thing. That actually makes a lot of sense
It
because
does.
Going in there and actually learning the business. I mean, and Cindy, you're party like you were thrown in it. You met Scott. You said within 2 weeks you're already reading reports and looking at things. Luckily, did he have you chasing people too? Were you bounty hunting at the time?
No, luckily I do have
hey,
a
honey, we're
degree
going on a
in-
date. We're going to grab dinner on the way home. We're swinging by some house trying to collect the.
It was interesting because I actually do have a degree in criminal justice.
Yeah.
So because I did work in the system before with juveniles. So when I met him, I already understood the concept of all of it. I think it was just needing to know the policies and procedures that the sheriff's departments needed and so forth to make sure that he was in compliance.
Yeah, there you go. Got to be in compliance.
She did help me, though, when I first met her. I was doing a lot of process serving, too. And that was getting me in the doors with more attorneys as well.
Right.
But one lady I could never get.
Yeah, the hell.
And we
that's
got in
funny.
her car. She wouldn't recognize her car.
Yeah.
And I actually got her at a traffic light and put the papers inside her windshield wiper and got her served. It was
got
a
her, didn't
big
we?
deal. Yeah.
That's
A lot
funny.
of fun.
Every time we ride by the same location, we're like,
Right there it is.
Yeah. What's the funniest story that you picked somebody up at that you did a recovery at? I mean, I just one that comes to my mind because back in the day when Ronnie, bless his heart, one of my buddies, and he was actually I got his little thing, Reyes Strong, passed away now, but when he had the bail bonds, I'll never forget. he invited me to go to Marietta to a McDonald's. Because you got to come here to McDonald's. We're going to grab a bite to eat. Because just stop over here. He didn't tell me we were chasing money at the time. He just called me in for backup, because what he saw when he went in, he saw 3 other guys that were with this person that he had to get. And he was there by himself. So he wanted some backup, So I went in ordering French fries thinking I was just ordering food and everything. And he goes, just grab some food, but just keep your eye on me while I walk over here real quick, and did the bail bonds and stuff. But, I mean, there's so many things that happen. What was the funniest story you ever went through?
2 stories I can think of right now, but one story that you'll find interesting is my first company that I opened here for South County 30 plus years ago. My very first call. Now, I was nervous. Okay, so I get on the phone, I'm screening this, everything, asking the person on the other end of the phone line every question you could think of, shy of what kind of blood type he had, And after about 5 minutes of this, he said, "Sir, do you mind if I ask you a question?" I said, "No, go right ahead." He said, "Is this Scott Echols?" I said, "Yes, it is." He goes, "This is your dentist. Come get my ass out of jail." So exactly what I did. Right. But it was funny. I had no idea.
Right. And I can imagine that happens too. You get people that and you're like, "Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's everybody gets in trouble."
And then another story, we went up to Maine to apprehend someone. And on the way back, the guy that taught me the business, he was the youngest guy to be over the North Georgia Drug Task Force. So the guy was very intelligent, knew this business inside and out, worked for the sheriff's department for years. Taught me a lot about the business. Had to learn a lot of things on my own, but he was great to have to start me up. But on the way back down, he had this ring on, and it had this shiny stone on it. And we were telling him we would get him back down. He'd gone through a bad situation with drugs, and we would get him back out. And anyway, he looked at my business partner at the time and said, "I can tell you're telling me the truth." He said, "How do you know that?" He said, "I've been watching that mood ring on your finger and it ain't changed one time." So anyway, he really thought it was a mood ring.
He thought it was a mood ring.
He was gauging where we're telling the truth.
Hey, did you ever get questioned about Scotty Echols, the name Scotty? Has anybody ever told you, are you the guy that's missing? Because, I know there's the kid in Moscow. He's 9 years old and he went missing. His name is Scott Echols. And the kid's been missing for 30-something years. He would be 33 right now. I think you're older than 33. But, anybody ever, think you were somebody else?
No, not really. Yeah.
Now, did you ever go get somebody that was the wrong person? Because that night at the McDonald's, the guy that Ronnie was talking to was not the right person.
Something I didn't, but the problem with that is twins. Okay, a lot of people have apprehended. I have an uncle that was apprehended one time that was the wrong twin. Yeah, misdemeanor offense, but drove all the way back from Montgomery, Alabama.
I never thought about that. How cool would that be to have a twin, right?
Oh, no.
You get in trouble, but you put it on your brother. You're like, hey, or your sister, whoever that would be. Like, yeah, you got the wrong one. It's over there.
Exactly. So those are difficult cases. And I will tell you one last funny story. I had a person up in Lula that was going to skip. Knew he was leaving the country. Me and my business partner had gone up there to apprehend. He wouldn't come to the door. I did a no-no. I always was told, never go by yourself. Well, guess what? Back in those days, I was young.
Right. I can handle myself.
Oh, yeah, handle myself.
Yeah. I got my pepper spray.
That's right. I beat on this door, so hard. And I went and hid behind the bushes. I thought, someone's curiosity. If they're in there, they're coming out. They're going to find out eventually what's out there, who did this.
Yeah.
Sure enough, after about 10 minutes, someone comes out. The problem was this guy was like 6 foot tall, didn't have one stitch of clothing on.
Oh boy!
Now I'm having to figure out how to get him some shorts on.
That's a little distraction.
And
That's
get
a little
cuffs
distraction.
on him. Oh yeah, it was not good. Yeah.
You ever have to wrestle anybody down?
That guy did.
Oh, you did. You had to wrestle him down. Oh,
had to wrestle him down. Got shorts on because he was looking at a butcher knife on his cabinet, and you could tell beer cans all over the counter. I didn't know what the guy was about to do. Finally, I was going to have to put cuffs on him, and when I did, he was taking a swing, and my cuff popped him in the top of the head accidentally because I was just blocking the swing. Then I had to tackle him. We went down on the ground, and it took me 10 minutes to get his arm. This is a big dude.
Yeah.
I was having to pull, pry, do everything I could to get his arms out.
Right.
And anyway, back then I was in a little better shape than I am today. Thank
Well, you know
goodness.
what? Today doesn't even matter. I mean, because myself too, I would say, and luckily I wrestle. I did some jiu-jitsu and different things. But nowadays, man, everybody's doing that, right?
Everyone, yeah.
Everybody knows, a move or two, and everybody wants to tap you out, and everybody
That's
wants to get
true.
a hold of you. So you got to be careful, man. You got to be
I
careful.
wouldn't want to
And,
go against these guys these days.
but
Yeah.
again, you're trying to diffuse the situation. You're just trying to, hey, let's just do the right thing, type of thing. But if they already skipped, they know. Most of the time, they know they weren't coming. They, there wasn't too many times. There was a few, I guess. Too many times when we went out there where they said, I had the date down wrong. You know what I mean? I missed my day. I'm sorry. It was an accident. But for the most part, they knew it. When they start hiding and you see them hiding, you know, oh shoot, here we are. We're in it now.
It doesn't just go away. When you get charged for something,
No matter what it is. And we always try to call, make numerous phone calls, try to do so much outreach, trying to get a hold of them just to see if something's happened, if they're in the hospital or, if they've moved and not updated their address. They've had ample times, but the time we're knocking on the door.
Things do happen on that.
They do.
Things
It really
happen where
does.
They moved and actually just forgot to
It
go.
does.
No, it
You know,
More
happen.
than you would think. More than you would think. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the mail too. Like you got to get the mail.
But the problem
if
is
you don't
they
get the mail, you don't get it. You don't know.
A lot of times they go back to jail because they didn't
Right.
to go update their address.
Yeah.
Get the court notice.
Did you know that as a business owner, you could save thousands of dollars each month on your credit card processing expenses and other payment transactions? At Cost Plus Processing, we're here to help you do exactly that. First, we offer a wide range of services such as zero-cost credit card processing, payroll services via ADP, and cash discount programs, among others, which are all customized to meet your processing and business needs. Secondly, we take pride in building lifelong partnerships with our clients while helping them eliminate unnecessary costs. We work hand in hand with you through the entire process, ensuring you're equipped with everything you need to make huge savings on your processing fees. Even better, we offer 24/7 customer support, so you can now rest easy knowing that your queries will be expertly answered. Visit www.costplusprocessingllc.com or call 1-855-391-9190 today and let us help you reduce your processing fees significantly.
Have you ever refused anybody that you've bailed out before that came back and asked for a bail because you just felt like they're just not a good person?
Not for that reason, but
Okay.
mainly either they didn't, satisfy their agreements with us, or they didn't show up for court, and we had to, go find them.
Now, would you say the bail bondsmen today, the different obviously, you got competition out there, but different organizations, you guys work together when it comes to that, when somebody skips or somebody's out? Because I can imagine somebody calls you and they skip out, they're going to call to different bail bonds if they get picked up and stuff. You guys talk a lot, and I know in the past sometimes some companies did, some didn't, some frowned on it. You guys were always great, and stuff, always wanted to help each other out, but there were some companies that felt like, I'm in competition with you and I'm not going to help you, type of thing, and I don't, I kind of want you to fail a little bit so that I get your overflow.
We have that quite a bit, and I welcome it. I mean, we all know each other. We're all professionals. And, just like I say, in a lot of the counties that we work in, you can automatically tell if they've had a forfeiture somewhere before and if another bonding company has wrote the bond or whatever. So you'd still be able to make that connection. And, in all the counties, I think we work. If we ever come across that scenario, I mean, we're all working together as a team trying to make it better.
Yeah, that's good.
We do.
That's good. Because like I said, I remember in the past, people were kind of like, it was too competitive.
Yeah.
It still is.
Oh,
Some
it's
people
still
have a
competitive.
jealousy.
Yeah, it is. It's still competitive, but I can tell you, even though we're all professionals, like I say, and everyone is competitive, at the end of the day, everybody comes together to help, with whatever we have to do when it comes to the bonding.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Now, it's a rarity, but it does happen. But for the most part, let me just put it back out there then. The people that I'm in contact with, pretty much, we all
Scotty's
work
like, I know
well
a couple.
together.
I know a couple.
But a lot of them I'm not in contact with, but for the most part, yes.
Yeah. All I want to know, Scotty, is if I get in trouble at 3 a.m, can I call you up and you get me out of jail? I just want to know that you're going to be there.
This is
Have
funny.
me on speed dial.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
God forbid. I've done my job. I don't want to do any more jail time. I made my accidents growing up, going through some garbage, right? But obviously, bail bonds has been a really good business for you. Would you say that's your bread and butter? That's kind of got you where you. I mean, if you could go back and start over, do over, what would you do differently?
Something. If I would have had Cindy with me from day one,
Oh,
would definitely
good
made,
answer. Good answer.
things a lot easier. And it, truthfully, that's true. A true statement, because I didn't know what I was missing in the business. Then she brings her knowledge in, and man, you talk about us building a team.
Yeah.
We built a team. We created some great companies and built the companies. So that would have been, because what I lacked, she provided.
Right.
And she provides a lot. To the place.
And that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's kudos that you recognize that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always say a successful business is one that's surrounded by everybody. You're more than one person, because one person can't do it all.
Right.
And the person that says, "Oh, I can," no, you can't.
No.
Because there's somebody that's better at something that you do. And if you're not looking for that, then you're not trying to elevate or grow anyways. That's just a reality. So to know that, hey, she complimented you and helped build, that's huge.
Absolutely.
That's why you guys got such a good empire. In fact, didn't you guys just recently started a new venture? Let's talk about that real quick. The Tin Cup. Let's talk about the Tin Cup, right?
We did.
A restaurant, golf, putting course. And listen, this ain't a putt course. Like, this is a competitive putting course. I've never seen anything like this before. Where'd you come up with this idea? What was this about?
That was interesting.
It's interesting. We were in contact. We were friends with the mayor, and he was sharing his vision about the coming city center. And anyway, he was sharing everything with us, and I'm thinking, okay, he's told us about the amphitheater, he's told us about the buildings, the restaurants, and the retail stores. And we said, that's great, but that's kind of the same thing that most city centers have.
Right.
You need to bring something in that no one else has. So anyway, then we were made aware of a putting course over in Bermuda.
Yep, it was.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got in touch with the guy that designed that course. And I told the mayor, I said, this is kind of what you need to do, is put this putting course in.
Yeah.
And then right back at me, you want to do it.
Right.
Cindy, you thought about it, talked about it,
We did, and we were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Now, did you fly out to Bermuda? Did you check out this course? Or
We didn't. We stayed in contact by email for 6 months, and finally he introduced us, who is now our business partner.
Okay.
Name of his company is Putt Tech.
Okay.
He designs putting courses mainly for like professional athletes in their backyard, doing 6-9 hole courses.
Putt Tech. I think he did one in Vegas, I think, when I was up there.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a place out there in Vegas, kind of in Fremont, down off of Fremont, in a hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Like a little indoor.
His name's
one.
Cameron Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
Howell, sorry. Yes.
Howell,
And he, like I said, his work's incredible.
He's a perfectionist. He
Yeah.
truly is.
Well, your course is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things we love about him. I mean, it's going to be to a T.
But it was funny.
No pun intended.
No,
right?
no pun intended. Absolutely.
But we were introduced to him by the guy that created the course in Bermuda lived in Sweden. So he introduced us to Cameron.
Yep.
Lives in Arizona. And when I contacted Cameron, it was like, you're wanting to do what? And this was the largest putting course in the country, if not the world, that we own.
Right. It's gorgeous, by the way. It's absolutely
thank you.
gorgeous. Very,
It's
very
very
nice.
cool.
It's fun, and most importantly, it's challenging.
Yes.
It's
Like, it's not it's not windmills, and you got different animals and stuff to shoot through. No, this is a championship. What is every hole designed from a different course of some sort?
It is. We have 12 that's designed from famous holes around the world. Just to give you an example, our 11, 12, 13 is inspired by Augusta National's Amen Corner.
Okay.
We have a little Hogan's Bridge.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
You got some local ones too,
We
though.
have
Yeah,
6
we
local
do.
ones.
So don't you have
Yep.
you got local golf
We
courses,
make
some of the
sure
greens
to
in
include
there?
our local.
Everybody loves them too. I
That's
love
cool.
it. It's one of my favorite things is when people come in and they have actually played a lot of the local courses.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh.
recognize it.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
They do. They
That's
love it.
great.
But it's fun. The great thing about this course is it's fun for any age.
Right.
But even for a good golfer, a great golfer, it's going to be challenging.
Right.
So.
Well,
makes
it's nice
it-
too as you get older. Like I just have rotator cuffs, so I can't swing the club anymore.
Right.
But I can still move the putter.
you still
I can
putt,
still move the
that's
putter. So it gives you something to do. I notice you're super busy out there. You know, do you get a lot of waiting line? Is it hard to kind of keep people moving through it because
Sometimes.
you get all levels, all ages. I mean,
do.
you
Sometimes.
don't. You got kids, you got adults, you know, it's family time, which is fun, you know, stuff. But are you going to eventually do any like tournaments and like actually have some competitive type of things?
We had one.
We already have, yes.
Oh, did
we
ya?
have. And because we recently haven't been open all that long, I think this upcoming next year is going to be even busier.
Yeah. Well, I know the city center is definitely making a lot of noise.
It is.
And it's
It
getting
is.
more and more places are becoming open and stuff. So
It is.
that's got to be pretty exciting to see. The restaurant, Tin Cup, you know, came up with, who came up with the name? Was that just because of the whole
You know,
putt-putt thing?
Yeah, it was.
We
Yeah.
really wasn't, actually at the time, we were not thinking about restaurant, were we?
We
Yeah,
weren't.
yeah.
The restaurant came after the putting course.
Yeah.
After we
You got to have a
decided-
place to go in and eat
we
and
did,
watch, wait.
and
yeah.
exactly. and-
Piggyback off of it.
Exactly. So we were thinking, well, maybe we should do a restaurant. I hate to even say it. I had restaurant industry background for a while.
Yeah.
And so it didn't scare me. But, you know, when we first started into the endeavor of doing Tin Cup, you know, the square footage and stuff was a lot smaller than what we ended up with. So, you know, through it all, it was a lot of fun. But because we started, I guess it was pre-COVID, it was a challenge. It was a challenge all the way through, from getting a lot of our stuff to finish the upstairs and all that.
Yeah. How big is it now? It's pretty big.
We have about 500 seats.
Yeah.
So it's huge. Just 10,000 square foot of
10,000,
space.
yeah,
A
it's
little over.
And it's
We
both
have-
indoors and outdoors too.
Yeah,
Which
rooftop,
is really cool.
patio,
Yeah.
the
The grill.
the balcony.
Yeah.
And at the same time, of course, Cindy and I, we like to travel, as you know. And
Yeah. Well, you guys own a lot of retail too, right? I'm talking like Airbnbs and a lot of real estate as well. So, you know,
We do.
a true entrepreneur, you know, pushing your money in different spots and everything.
True.
What's next?
Well, there is a next.
There is a next.
There is a
So-
next.
But we're working on it. So are you wanting to say, or you want to wait till the next?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, man. It's all here. Let's hear it.
Through Cindy, she has some dear friends that we love them to death. The best people in the world.
Yes.
They're that great.
Second
So,
best.
Yeah, second
right?
best.
Since
Yes.
all right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's the relationships.
It's the relationships.
And
But
we've got great ones.
Yeah.
they have opened up. They started in a restoration company, had developed a huge restoration company.
Mm-hmm.
They spun off of that, opened up what was on the top 500 Forbes list was it was called 1-800-PACK-OUT.
Yes.
Yeah.
So had fire damage, water damage in the home. They would come
Yep.
pack everything up, label it, store it for you until you was ready for it. They give phenomenal customer service.
Sure.
They do.
Then they had equity firm that came and bought them out. So they did very well.
Right.
Then they opened up a new company. It's called 1-800-Textiles. And what we will be doing is we have committed to the entire southern state of Florida because we love the southern
Sure.
state of Florida.
Sure. Sure. It's not a horrible place to be, right? Especially in the winter.
We pretty much have everything from just south of Tampa all the way down to Key West.
We do.
Very nice.
So we're starting our first startup
Yeah.
probably March of 2024. We're hoping.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you
That's
very
awesome.
much.
Don't
Yeah.
forget about that credit card processing, man.
Oh,
You
trust
need
me.
that.
Oh, believe
You
me.
know?
We love that part. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually going down to Tampa actually in a couple weeks. So we're
Good.
going to be down there doing a podcast there with Ali Marpet. Good story as well. So, you know, so that's great, man. So it's good. Always growing.
Yep.
You know what? Tell the viewers, because viewers always, you know, kids today, younger people, generations, even people our age, they're looking for what's next. When does, I get this question a lot. They say, when is enough enough? You know, like in your mind, when is enough enough? When is it like, hey, I'm good. It's time for me
Well, let
not
me
to
just
do
say
anything.
this, and I tell this because so many people ask me all the time, you know, because we don't think we're anything great at all. We're just doing life.
Extraordinary people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So not at all. But then, you know, my kids and then their friends, and when they come over, they'll be trying to pick our brain for the same thing. You know, what do you do or how'd you do? Well, you know, first you have to take a risk and a chance, obviously. But I guess for Scott and I mean, we just always seem to constantly, if we have our aces in our places, let's just say that. And when I say that, I mean, we have some incredible people that work for us. And not just incredible people, but their friends and their family. And when I tell you that our business is run like an engine, a smooth engine because of the great people. And when you have that and you build that and you entrust that in them, it makes it easier to do something else and to keep moving forward. But you have to start out, you know what I'm saying, to get there. It takes a minute to get there, but when you do, then you feel comfortable and then you feel like you can take on something else, and we do.
Right. You know, I always say, you know, if you can, why not?
Yeah.
Right? There's no such thing as comfort.
Yeah.
And if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, you know, as you get older, you know, I talk about this all the time. You know, the first $1 million is really hard to make because you're grinding, right? You're grinding. The second $1 million, it gets a little bit easier. You know, the third $1 million gets even easier because you're using money to make other money as well.
Yeah.
So as we get older, of course, we have better ideas. And now we have the ability, we can actually do them. You know, whereas we maybe not been able to do it when we were 18 or 20 years old. So, and I think it's key what you said. Surround yourself with a great group of people that can keep everything moving so that you can do other things. But I always tell my kids, I'll never stop. You know, I'll never stop until I'm dead. So always got to keep building, always got to keep growing.
I plan on slowing down quite a bit. Just turned 61, so my goal is 65.
You look good at 61. There you go.
I'm going to be hopefully on the water a lot more.
Yeah.
Doing a little more traveling.
Yeah.
That's what my
But you can
goal
work
is.
on the water, Scotty. You
Exactly.
can work on the water.
True.
Yeah.
Trust me, like she
Check
says.
the bank accounts.
That
Scenery,
Yeah.
the scenery may change. The work
right.
does not.
That's
I mean,
right.
I can do payroll from anywhere
That's
as long
right.
as I have Wi-Fi and a computer, and I always take it everywhere I go.
There you
But
go.
see, you know, something Cindy and I, yourself, we all have the same genes. Some way we don't come home and we don't lay on the sofa. We don't work 8 to 5. We don't,
Right.
we have pulled 15, 16-hour days, many.
Right.
Still.
And yeah, when I met Cindy, she was getting up at 4 a.m. every morning. And it was like, I couldn't get up at 4 a.m. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this
Right.
lady, she outworks me, and I worked hard my whole life. But but I think that's a big difference with a lot of people. That you've got to commit to more than a 40-hour work week if you really want to succeed.
100%.
You've never seen a successful person not busy
Right. That's true.
until a certain point. I'd like to get to that point someday.
There you go. There you go. Well, last closing words. Tell the viewers, tell the audience, anything else you want to say, Scotty, Cindy, give them some encouragement. Obviously you guys have been really super successful entrepreneurs, multimillionaires, done so many different things with different businesses, still growing, still not done. What did you tell some viewers that, want to be just like you?
Oh gosh, if I could tell you it was easy, I wish I could. It hasn't been. It's been a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of dedication. Through the years, I can tell you it's been a lot of time away from my kids. So if they hear that, they'll know I recognize it. But you know what? At the end of the day, they want to be just like us, and they are. So, and they will. So you lead by example, and your kids learn more from watching you than what you tell them. And that's also another slogan I tell everybody. But you just have to stay strong, and you just have to, keep moving forward and always be looking.
Amen. Amen. Well, there you have it, folks. And we're going to wrap it up. Another wonderful episode of Wham Bam's podcast. And as you heard it from the Echols themselves, you got to stay busy. And guess what? It takes sacrifice. It takes work, hard work. It takes commitment. And if you do that, then you will become successful. You just got to keep grinding. So remember, as I always say, if your life was a movie, would it be worth watching? And if the answer is no, then stop being ordinary and start being extraordinary. This is your boy Wham Bam. Stay positive and keep testing negative. Till next Wednesday, I'm Wham Bam and I'm out. This podcast was brought to you by Cost Plus Processing, the leader in merchant processing. Call 1-855-391-9190 and find out why they are the future in merchant processing.